How long are we going here? I gotta time myself. Who are you, Jimmy Breslin, and what do you do in this world? I write for a living, and it isn't the easiest occupation there is. I find it very difficult, and I started very young. I was in high school and couldn't wait to get out of high school. John Adams High School, 102nd Street and Rockaway Boulevard, Ozone Park, Queens. I walked out of it, I say I finished. That's debatable. I don't think I can really show a diploma to prove I went to the joint. I was there long enough, but I don't think I graduated, because I went to work at the Long Island Daily Press, which was then a newspaper, and I went at night when I was 15 years old as a copy boy, sometimes 8 to 4 in the morning, 9 to 5, 12, midnight to 8 a.m. Each time I would stagger to high school with my eyes looking worse progressively according to the hours I'm working. And I wasn't going to go to school. I was going to write. And just by being around, I ran into people in crime I was doing the best at. I looked at them and I wrote a book about them that wound up as a movie. That was very early in my life for a lot of money, which I made sure I blew.
Shut up your face.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
No. Jimmy Breslin's The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. A ridiculous look at disorganized crime.
Why mobsters, Jimmy? Politicians were not close on an honesty scale with gangsters. Whom you could believe gangsters, you never could believe politicians. What's the job of the reporter? Tell the news. That's all, and which they proceeded not to do, and they wonder why things are so tough. There are things in the newspapers I don't look at. It's not news. Tell me something new that I don't know. And dangerous, something that's dangerous that you ought to know about. That would take people going out at night with your 2 feet and coming back with stories, and they don't have them anymore, I don't think. What's wrong with journalists today? They don't go out. Television, it would be your answer. They were all on television giving the news. As you listen to them talk, you know they haven't left the office. They have no authentic spirit to the voice as they're telling you what happened in New York, because they don't know and they don't bother with it. A guy could make a lot of money that way, right? I guess they make a lot of money, yes. Yes, they do. A lot of money doing nothing on television, having a shirt and tie and talking well. I don't mean anything against them personally. They're good, they're nice, but they don't do anything. See, the newspaper man today has got to work harder, but no more. There's somebody with 2 feet that he's not afraid to use, with a curiosity, which can take him any place, and he should follow it. An energy to sit down when you have this stuff and write it and spend hours and hours to get it into a column. And that's a newspaper man. It has to be something you didn't know when you read him. And he had to be at the bar very pleased with himself that he did all this work. It's a product of work. The word is work. What's the life of a newspaper man like? Intolerable. Just thank God that I was single through the wild times. But the big thing was a bar. After all the work, you did all the work, you did all the stair climbing, you did all the police stations, all the streets, all the everything, and you did go to political meetings and try to fathom what they were talking about. You did a lot of work, and then you went out into bars and didn't leave them because it was important to talk, extol yourself, extol your stories, and we'll go on to the next. It was great. But that took you home at 5 in the morning, when then you had to get up fairly early and go to work. And I don't think it was good for marriages. Who did you look up to when you were a young reporter? Old men on newspaper desks who would ask me to do things or say that this would be good or that would be good, to go out and get something. Chester Durkin, the Long Island Press, he would chew paper. He chewed copy paper all the time. He was an old man, dirty, evil man, but his ideas were good. Loved murderers. Go out and get a good murder case and have that in a paper. What's the worst thing that happened to newspapers? Ivy League colleges. They were the worst, most intolerable places known to man, was sending these people into the news business, and they didn't want the news business. They wanted the just easy, grandeur, take it easy, and then you're in this business. You're known with a newspaper, which was on the way down, as they're now finding out, because they were uninteresting. They weren't running any news. They did go into the lead sentences, the newspapers, rather than the old ones of Red Smith and people like that were writing with their 12-word lead sentences. We now had the New York Times blazing away with 55 words in the lead sentence. The Post and the Daily News copied them. They went into 60-word leads. Nobody read them. They made the public turn their heads in the middle of it. I'm sitting here talking with you about a way of life that obviously is dwindling right in front of you, and that's writing books and newspapers. I think it's all getting changed by the electronic situation all about you. I live in a house where the kids just walk up to the television and sit down, the computer, and start running things in that I don't know anything about, and that's going to be their way to express themselves commercially. I mean, as writers, you do it that way. You're not going to do it in the New York. Let's take New York Daily News, New York Post. They're not going to be here. The New York Times, with its 82 words lead sentences, they're going to have trouble becoming as overwhelming. I'm talking about not today, tomorrow, 30 years, 35 years. Everything will be changed. Those kids sitting at the machine will be ready for it. I won't. I ain't going to be here anyway. But the people of my belief are not going to be able to cope with it. The belief has to go into that machine, into these new names. What advice can you give young journalists? Tell the news. Start covering the people who don't have. They're more important than anybody that has. Where does the Breslin writing style come from? The sentence, subject, verb, and object. Let's start looking at that before you go in to write the novel. Make sure they're in order. Did Jimmy Breslin change the face of journalism? I don't know if I did or I didn't. I changed the face of Breslin. That's all I cared about. Going to work and then starting to write fiction books that did well and could keep me going. Books kept me going. And writing a column on newspapers at the same time, and that was good. Which do you like better, writing fiction or nonfiction? Oh, the fiction is the best. The fiction is the greatest thing. It's the hardest, it's the most rewarding, most satisfying, and very hard. and most of it fails. Knowing that it can fail easily only stirs you to go on more. It's good. And that is, I think, what has hustled a lot of Irish into suicide, just about. I mean, you're sitting on the Killiney Hill and outside of Dublin writing fiction day after day after day, pounding away at it, something, hacking away, sending it in, listening for great huzzahs and not hearing them, looking for big checks and not seeing it. But you tried. Try again. Are the Irish more literary than other people? Well, I think they're bent to write novels more than other people. It's a way of life. So do you think of yourself as an Irish writer? Yeah, it comes from Irish blood. You look at my family, that's where it comes from. My mother was an English school teacher, and I had a father that wasn't much of a father, but he wrote a song at Fordham University that's still with us. He was known, and he was a musician with words. No, there was a drive and a feeling and a great satisfaction in writing sentences. And I think that comes from Irish blood ahead of anything else. I've heard that editors and reporters are saying that you should go out and look for the grave digger in the story. What is it? Well, I always used to do that. I mean, if there's a funeral, you get the grave digger. Everybody would be covering a famous funeral. The cemetery worker who digs the hole to put her in. I think I would like to know what he thinks. Because he's there, and he's doing something. And I just would like to know what he thinks. He's here. And he's not so important, which makes what he's thinking more important to me. Why did you get started writing about Branch Rickey? The way everything gets started, I think, or most things, somebody comes up with an idea, or you come up with an idea that seems absolutely alien to today's life. I was asked to do a book on Rickey for a series. There was a reason for it on the part of the publisher. They had this series. So I said, I would do Rickey. I knew just smatterings about him, but I did know. And I knew he had done something that was not baseball. I said, I'm doing it. It isn't a book about baseball. It's a book about race in America. He changed it. And changed it more than anything, changed the world. When he put his spike on the fresh green grass of a Major League Baseball field as the first black ever to do it, everything under him changed. Jimmy, are you trying to say that Branch Rickey was some kind of a saint? There's no perfection there, of course. He came up with a scheme to have a farm system, which nobody had ever heard of, for the baseball team, where you could have players all over the country signed to contracts, and if they couldn't make it to the Dodgers, they could be sold to other clubs, and he could get money for the sales. And there were no agents around to collect it as they should. So therefore, until society made its choices to have agents, I'll take care of the money. So he was taking 10% of hundreds of players being sold, and it was fine. And that's Rickey. He made sure he had the money in his pocket. Yes, that's Rickey. You want to talk about Berkowitz? I had to spend one whole summer when he was shooting wonderful young people, and trying to find out what's going on, and working nights. And I took one night off and sat in the bar in West Hampton Beach, Long Island, with my wife, and we were having one drink, and the traffic was passing outside the window. The saloon was right on Main Street, and there was a light rain, and that was it. Now they got a hold of this guy later in the night, and Bill Clark was one of them. Detective made the arrest, and he ran out. I had to be there, and he ran out of the room where they were questioning Herkowitz. He said, "Were you in the bar in West Hampton?" I said, "Yes." He said he passed by and he was going to shoot you, but the rain came and the dog in the car, which was no dog, he imagined it, the guy, told him he had to go home. He couldn't stop to shoot Breslin. So he went home. I said, "That son of a bitch, what did you do? Why didn't you shoot him there right in the room for saying that? Was he going to shoot me? Yeah, well, then you should shoot him." That was ended that night. He's away for life now. He could stay there twice. I don't care.
Why did he pick you, Jimmy?
I have no idea. He wrote me letters. And I don't know why he picked me. Maybe because I was out writing about it. A girl got shot, and I wrote about her. And he wrote me a letter. And that was in that strange print writing he had. And that was it.
Were you frightened?
No, it wasn't scary. I mean, I thought just under the rules of the way we lived life, they would catch him. They did in the end, yeah, thank God.
What drove you and Norman Mailer to run in a political race?
We met at the bar and decided that we would run for, he wanted to run for mayor. So I said, "Go ahead, I'll run for the other thing," which was a deputy mayor or something, and we ran. We went out and campaigned. Some of the stuff was very good. I can remember that. We knew what we were talking about, and we could do it with an energy that the other politicians didn't bring with them, and that was it.
You ran on a platform that New York City should secede from New York State. What was that about?
Well, look at you've got the state of New York run by Albany, and we didn't want that. It had nothing to do with the city of New York. And New York needed the energy, needed the people who understood we have a huge problem here that we must fix. That being race, which upstate New York's Senate in Albany didn't want to hear because they're up there trying to live an all-white life.
How did you feel when you won the Pulitzer-Prize?
I was a little bit surprised because I should have won like 5 of them, and they were making a big thing out of it. And I couldn't figure that out. I mean, what are you making a big thing out of today?
What was the best thing you ever did?
Married the girl. Rosemary Datlico. That was the highlight of life. We had all those kids together. We had a great life, and she died. So, and a year later, I married Ronnie, who was very hardworking at being a wife, which was good. And my job was to survive these women.
Looking back, what do you have to say for your life?
I tried to live it honestly. That's a pretty good statement because there's so many ways in life you can go and cheat and rob people naturally without any compunction. But the journalism, writing for people in your newspaper, you had to be honest. You had to tell them the truth. And it was a great thing that was happening to you, forcing you to do something that perhaps you wouldn't do in another field. Jimmy Breslin is too fat. He drinks too much. He smokes too much. And if he makes it past his 40th birthday, a lot of clockers and watchers are going to be surprised. But he is not entirely uncaring about this. As he puts his cigarette down on the edge of the bar at Gallagher's on West 52nd Street and sips from his half-empty beer glass, he complains that he isn't feeling well. Most often he says that his circulation is going bad on him the way it went on Whitey Ford. And if you think pitchers need their arms, you should just know that a writer also needs his fingers. If the circulation isn't that troublesome for the moment, he can work up a pretty good case for the fact that his column isn't going as well as it should, or that the governor is avoiding him, or that his wife, Rosemary, is upset with him again. And with every complaint comes a flow of reminiscence and anecdote that is almost uninterruptedly funny. It takes a happy man to sing a worried song that way.
We hope you've enjoyed CUNY TV's Irish Writers in America, a 13-part series featuring new interviews with 23 of the most interesting Irish and Irish-American writers working today. Please continue to enjoy the series on our website at www.cuny.tv.